A special presentation from the KTVB Newsroom. This is the Bronco Roundup Game Day Preseason Special.
After an immaculate 2024 campaign that brought them back into the national spotlight and to a fourth Fiesta Bowl, the expectations are high as Boise State chases a third consecutive Mountain West championship and another trip to the college football playoffs. We are so glad you're with us here this evening. I'm Jordan Smith, your new sports director, and there are many questions surrounding this team. How does the offense replace Ashton Jeanty? Does this team have the depth? And can they do it again? Over the next half hour, we'll be walking you through everything you need to know ahead of the 2025 season, which kicks off this Thursday in Tampa, Florida. And Boise State will begin the 2025 campaign ranked in the preseason top 25 for the first time since 2018. Both the AP poll and USA Today coaches poll tabbed Boise State at number 25. They're the only group of 5 team on either list. Last year, the Broncos finished 8th in the final poll of the season, their highest finish since 2011. Penn State, who the Broncos lost to in the first round of the college football playoff last season, checks in at number 2. And for the 15th consecutive season, the Broncos have been picked to win the Mountain West Conference. They're followed closely by UNLV, who will be looking to avenge their Mountain West championship loss. San Jose State, Colorado State, and Fresno State round out the top 5. The Broncos don't play the Spartans, Hawaii, or Wyoming this season. But this year is the end of an era for the Broncos, as it's last as members of the Mountain West Conference, ending a 15-year run. The 2-time defending conference champions are looking for a historic three-peat before joining the Pac-12 next season. The Broncos will join current members Oregon State and Washington State, as well as Fresno State, Texas State, Colorado State, San Diego State, and Utah State. Gonzaga will only join that conference as a basketball school.
We're going to run the football at Boise State. I've been asked, are you going to run the football now that Ashton's not there? It's like, yes, we are. I believe to win championships, you need to run the football. You need to stop the run. Not rocket science, but that's what Boise State's been built on.
Certainly is. Year after year, Boise State feels like running back you. They had Ian Johnson, Doug Martin, Jay Ajayi, Alexander Madison, Ashton Jeanty, just to name a few of the incredible Boise State products. Historically, the run game is the DNA of this offense. So the question still persists, though. How in the world are the Broncos going to replace number 2? Jeanty led the FBS with 2,600 rushing yards, 27 touchdowns, and finished as a top contender for the Heisman Trophy. And those shoes might feel a little bit too big to fill, but as we mentioned, Boise State has a knack for forging talent in the backfield, and in this year's running back room, there's no bad options for RB1. Ashton Jeanty felt like a cheat code when he lined up in the backfield. The speed, the strength, the raw talent. This guy was Mr. Showtime. He was the workhorse behind last year's offense, no doubt about it. But his departure opens up a lot of interesting opportunities for Maddox and company.
We got a lot of guys that's ready to go, and I feel like we haven't lost a step with Jeanty leaving.
The Broncos are loaded with offensive threats, many who were overshadowed by Jeanty's spotlight. The running back room he left behind is packed with 4 solid, unique backs, all vying for RB1.
Boise State is going to get a kick return for a touchdown from Dylan Riley.
Special teams speedster Dylan Riley, redshirt freshman power back Sire Gaines, Fresno State transfer Malik Sherrod, and Chambers Breezy Dubar. All competing to be the starting running back this season.
So those 4, we're going to use them all, we're going to play them all, and we're going to run the football.
Each back brings a different build and skill set to be plugged into Nate Potter's multi-pronged offense. led, of course, by a physical veteran offensive line that's loaded with NFL talent.
We got just top-level talent, guys like Mason, guys like Roger, of course Cage, guys with real deal like NFL potential who can kind of lead us from a talent perspective.
Meanwhile, Maddox Madsen returns under center, fresh off a 3,000-yard passing performance and 28 total touchdowns. Genty led the team in total rushing yards. Madsen finished second on that list. The gunslinger also has a few familiar targets returning to the team this season in Latrell Caples and five-star wideout Chris Marshall.
We've got a lot of guys returning. I mean, you talk about 6 guys up front that have played college football that could play any position, then you add like depth in the wide receiver room. That's a big deal, and that's what excites me a lot. Is like we've clicked as an offense before.
Chemistry, depth, and sheer talent are in the Broncos' corner this season. The offense, once again, is poised to cause a lot of headaches for defensive coordinators, but that's only if they can stay healthy. And that is a big if. The Broncos were hit hard by the injury bug last season. Running backs Sire Gaines and Breezy Dubar, center Mason Randolph, and wide receivers Chris Marshall, just a few of the big names who missed significant time last season because of injuries. And there are still a few position battles going on, just days away from kickoff. One of the biggest questions that remains is who is going to get the nod to be the Broncos' kicker? Jarrett Reeser and Colton Boomer were the big names battling it out at the start of camp. But freshman Cannon Moore has emerged in fall camp as another suitable option to fill the shoes of Jonah Dalmas, the program's all-time leading scorer.
I have no idea. It's a great question. We have to figure it out. Jarrett's done a really good job, had some inconsistencies early on, did some good things today. Kanan's done a good job too, coming in as a freshman, making some big time kicks. So we're going to keep competing. Everything's charted, and then we'll see. Then that competition's going to go all the way through to kickoff.
So that's the overview of the Broncos offense, but it's like they say, offense sells tickets, defense wins championships. When we come back here tonight, a look at the big bruisers on the other side of the ball, the D linemen with a knack for wreaking havoc in the backfield, and how the secondary is shaping up after a difficult season defending the pass. Welcome back. We talked a lot about the threats this Broncos offense has at their disposal, but if the Broncos want another shot at a college football playoff, they're going to need an ironclad defense and to ramp up their turnover numbers.
Gabriel with an empty set, gets the snap and gets sacked. Back at the 24-yard line.
Ashton Genty wasn't the only part of the Broncos team putting up video game numbers last season. The Broncos defense led the country with an absurd 55 sacks in the 2024 campaign, but none of those sacks created a takeaway. In total, the Bronco defense forced just 16 turnovers on the season.
Forcing more fumbles, stuff like that has been my focus, just getting our hands on the ball. As a defense as a whole, we've been focusing on just tapping the rock. If you see a time where you can punch the ball out, focus on that. Ball in the air, it's our ball.
Zion Washington and Ty Benefield are 2 of the 6 starters returning on defense, hopeful to enforce a no-fly zone. The Broncos' pass defense ranked 106 last year. There's a major emphasis on correcting the secondary after the Broncos gave up an average of 240 yards a game through the air.
I told them this isn't high school. The best players play. Don't have the mentality that you're going to come out and just because it's Amarion or Jeremiah, like those are the corners and that's it. Like, no, let's take their spot. Because if he has that mindset, if the whole group has that mindset that they're going to try and go take guys' spots, you never know how good we can be.
The defensive line looks like the strongest part of the defense this season. Jaden Virgin Morgan, who led the team with 10 sacks last year, returns as an edge rusher. Max Steege will likely serve as his counterpart on the opposite side. But the interior line will feature 3 new faces. Braxton Feely is the only returning starter.
We don't recruit a lot of transfers. We try to recruit the right ones.
In this day and age of college football, one of the biggest questions in the offseason for any team now is who did the team lose to the transfer portal and who did they pick up? And last season, roster retention was a big thing for the Broncos, only losing 4 starters to the portal, with one of them even returning, bringing the Broncos to have one of the best returning productions in the entire conference. The team also picked up 11 players in the transfer portal, including All-American safety Derek Ganter Jr. from Eastern Washington. And like you heard Danielson say,
everything for us is about keeping our players. That's where my heart is. I think as the head coach, that's what I'm involved in. I tell our staff, I'm very intentional in who I recruit, who I call, because I have a call list for our current roster to make sure that they are hearing from me. I'm texting them, I'm calling them, checking off. I don't see them on a daily basis. I'm calling to make sure they're doing well. It's all about the connection and then all about them knowing I'm developed here better than anywhere else. I think if you can hit those, you keep your team.
And one of the most interesting transfer portal stories this offseason was Braxton Feely, who did enter the transfer portal in April only to return to the Broncos before the end of the month. It was a storyline that impacted Spencer Danielson pretty personally.
Braxton Feely, when he went in the transfer portal in spring, one of the hardest things I've been through as a coach. Me and Braxton, I married Braxton last offseason. Him and his wife Kelly are family to me, and that was just hard. I mean, it was really hard going through that moment. I had a lot of just conversations even with myself, just like, man, did I miss something with Brax? What am I, going through those moments?
I think being out there in the portal allowed me to see that, schools outside of Boise State really do put a focus on money and making it about themselves. Whereas Boise State, they try and grow kids as men so that they're better fathers and husbands when they do leave this place.
And Feely marks one of the only returning starters on the defensive line. After the break, a look at the Broncos recognized as some of the best players in the Mountain West ahead of the 2025 campaign. The players to watch out for on the All-Mountain West preseason list when we return. It's not only the school hopping on the Maddox-Madsen hype train. Back at Mountain West Media Days, Madsen was selected as the preseason Mountain West Offensive Player of the Year. And that's not the only preseason honor, with the junior quarterback also being added to the watch list for the Maxwell Award, given to the most outstanding player in college football annually. But despite all the hype, Mad Dog says he's not letting it go to his head.
I don't pay attention to those lists because why would I fill my head up with that? I haven't done anything yet. I haven't done anything this season. But in a sense, it does add a little bit of confidence, to see what other people are thinking of me in a highway. That's a big deal. And so playing with that little confidence is awesome.
Boise State also placed a conference high 10 players on the preseason All-Mountain West team, 5 on defense and 5 on offense. On offense, Boise State quarterback Maddox-Madsen, who is also, as we mentioned, selected as the preseason Offensive Player of the Year, is leading the pack. All-American offensive lineman Cage Casey also joins the team, along with Mason Randolph. And tight end Matt Lauder and wide receiver Latrell Caples round out the offense. On the defensive side of the ball, fellow preseason All-American Jaden Virgin Morgan will be on the defensive line alongside defensive lineman Braxton Feely. Linebacker Marco Notriani is also representing the Broncos. The Broncos have also placed 2 defensive backs on the preseason special teams, including Ty Benefield and Amarian McCoy. And even with all the preseason accolades, head coach Spencer Danielson says that's all just talk.
What people talk about you in the preseason, it's awesome. Proud of what our team was able to do last year and get us in that conversation. Boise State should always be in that conversation, but now it's up to us to go put the work in and earn everything we do.
And along with those preseason awards, several Broncos have been named to national watch lists ahead of the season. And Maddox-Madsen, we're bringing him up again. He's on the Walter Camp Player of the Year award, given to the best player in the country. Sire Gaines nominated for the Doak Walker Award. That's given to the most outstanding running back of the year. It's the same award Ashton Jeanty won last year. Gaines is also up for Comeback Player of the Year after his injury. And tight end Matt Lauder is up for the John Mackey Award, and that's given to the best tight end in college football. We've got all the nominations on our website, ktvb.com. After the break, we'll introduce you to this year's team captains, the guys you'll see on the banners hanging outside Albertson Stadium this season.
So how we build that out for our team is we have a leadership group that is voted on by our team. Then we have an influencer group that is kind of the number 2 guy in that roster. So we've got two groups of leadership and influencer that I meet with constantly to build them. I tell them, guys, this is your team. It's not my team, it's your team.
At the start of fall camp, it was announced who the team captains are for this season. Quarterback Maddox Madsen, offensive lineman Cage Casey, edge rusher Jaden Virgin Morgan, and linebacker Marco Notriani were all voted by their peers to be the team captains this year, an honor the players are holding in high regard.
Having the honor of being a team captain for such an amazing team and such an amazing program is just a blessing to even be able to think about that. The team came together and really voted and thought that, so it's just an amazing feeling for sure.
I'm so beyond blessed to have the privilege to lead this team, and you know, the amount of work and love I have for the guys on the team and how they see that I'm pouring into them.
And the season kicks off in just a few days. The Broncos are headed to Tampa to take on the Bulls of the University of South Florida. And that game is happening at Raymond James Stadium, home of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The school, at least at the moment, does not have their own campus stadium, but they did break ground late last year. It's expected to be open for the 2027 season, but the Broncos are excited for the chance to compete in Tampa.
We're really excited. It's gonna be a fun game. Yeah, but you know, I'll give a little coach answer right now. Game by game, week by week. South Florida's first, fall camp's first. You know, we're going down to Tampa, and it's gonna be great.
And we'll be live from Tampa for that game. You can watch the Bronco Roundup Game Day show from 2 to 3 Thursday, August 28th, right here on KTVB, KTVB.com, and on KTVB+. That game starts at 3:30 on ESPN, and we'll, of course, have the highlights of the game during the news at 10. And here's a look at the rest of the season. The Broncos will host Eastern Washington for their home opener on Friday, September 5th. Then an early season bye week in week 3. The Broncos then head to Colorado Springs to take on Air Force in the first Mountain West Conference game of the season. It's the first meeting with the Falcons since 2023. Then App State comes to town on Saturday, September 27th for the first of 2 big non-conference games. The following week, it's the one we've all had circled on the calendar for months. At South Bend, the Broncos playing the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame. After that, back-to-back home games against New Mexico and UNLV, and the Broncos then head to Reno to face off against the Wolfpack. Then it's back at home for the Battle of the Milk Can against Fresno State. That's always a good conference rivalry game. And then it's finally on the road to San Diego State, followed by senior night at Albertson Stadium against Colorado State. The season finale at Utah State in Logan the day after Thanksgiving. And should the Broncos make the Mountain West Championship game, that will be on Friday, December 5th at the higher seed state. After the break, a look inside the construction happening at the north end zone at Albertson Stadium, what that will look like and when it's expected to be finished. But first, let's check in with Tom Scott and the preseason edition of the Scott Slant.
And thank you much. As we approach the opening of yet another season, it's a good time to check in on the big picture. This is Boise State's 58th season as a 4-year program, and in the previous 57 years, the Broncos have posted 51 winning seasons. Let that sink in for a moment. 89% of the time. There have been 27 10-win seasons. That's a remarkable 47% clip, and there have been 22 conference championships between the Big Sky, Big West, WAC, and Mountain West, including the last 2 in the MW. That's 39%. And this is a relevant number right now, 27 straight winning seasons, because it remains the longest streak in major college football. Let's go to Scotsland Trivia. What is Boise State's record for consecutive 10-win seasons? It happened under Coach Chris Peterson, bridging the WAC and Mountain West eras. So you just have to come up with a number. The answer will be here when we return on the Bronco Roundup preseason special. Welcome back to the Bronco Roundup preseason special, and here is your answer to Scotsland Trivia. The number is 7. Boise State won 10 or more games in each of Coach Pete's first 7 seasons with the Broncos from 2006 to 12. The next best run is 4 straight 10-win seasons under Brian Harsin from 2016 to 19.
Well, we now know who and when the Broncos are playing this season. The next question: what's going on at Albertson Stadium? Crews are well underway with the renovations to the north end zone. The project will add about 1,600 seats completely connecting the north end zone to the east and west, completing the bowl. The new seating including 12 field-level suites, 44 lodge boxes, 148 ledge seats, and 882 club seats. There will be more restrooms, mobile concession kiosks, and an open-air sports bar and lounge area. There will also be year-round dining room and nutrition center for all student athletes, as well as a new field entrance for players. Crews broke ground in January of this year. Athletic Director Jeremiah Dickey was there, along with Spencer Danielson and former President Marlene Tromp were there. And the final support beam was put in place in May. And we were able to just sneak a quick peek inside the construction back in July, and you could see all the work that's already gone into it. This project is expected to cost about $65 million, and once the project is complete, Albertson Stadium will be able to hold a little over 35,000 people. The goal is to have it finished by the start of the 2026 season. Lots of big things coming up this season and a lot to look forward to for next season. That's all we have for the Broncos preseason special. Thanks for being with us here. Reminder to join us Thursday, August 28th from 2 to 3 right here on KTVB for the Bronco Roundup pregame show.
Continue with us and watch free now on the KTVB Plus app everywhere you stream.